Good morning. Welcome, Prime Minister. Be great.
Media is here.
Yeah.
Vienota pozīcija, vienota izpratne, pieņemsim arī par jautājumiem, kas skar Ukrainu. Un skaidrs, ka Krievija šobrīd nemaina savu politiku, un, manuprāt, visas valstis, kas šeit ir sapulcējušās, ir skartas no šī kara. Un varbūt tā sākumā nevar saprast, kāpēc mēs te tiekamies, bet ļoti svarīgi, ka mēs katrs jau dzīvojam savos burbuļos. Tāpat Eiropas Savienība ir savs burbulis, bet šeit ir iespējams tātad visiem kopā satikties un saprast, kāda tad ir visu šo valstu ietekme no kara, veidot vienotu izpratni un arī domāt, kā mēs tālāk risinām šos jautājumus.
Ko jūs plānojat?
Jā, man ir paredzēts arī divpusējās tikšanās. Tūlīt pat tikšos gan ar Eiropas parlamentu vadītāju, gan ar Eiropas padomes vadītāju, un arī divpusējās tikšanās ar Norvēģiju, Īriju. Jā, un vēl bija kaut kādām valstīm, kuras es skatīšos. Protams, izmantošu iespēju arī satikt līderus, kurus es tā nevaru ikdienā satikt. Arī ir Zeļenska kungs, kas nozīmē, ka viņš arī ir izmantojis šo iespēju, lai varētu uzrunāt Eiropas līderus. Man ļoti žēl, ka Azerbaidžāna un Turcija nav izvēlējusies ierasties. Skaidrs, ka šis formāts būs dzīvotspējīgs tik ilgi, kamēr līderi ieradīsies un apmeklēs šo formātu un izmantos iespēju arī runāt. Iepriekš tika izmantots šis formāts, lai runātu par miera sarunām. Es domāju, ka ir ļoti svarīgi tomēr arī Eiropas līmenī mēģināt būt par vidutājiem un atrast tādas miera sarunu formātu, jo tas jautājums ir ārkārtīgi jūtīgs šobrīd, bet mēs varam aicināt uz miera sarunām.
Well, I see the European political community as the reason to bring all allies together. If we are not together, if we're not together as a continent, then actors from elsewhere will try to influence our continent. That's my first point. Secondly, I would always appeal to all partners to attend these meetings. This is an opportunity for everybody to come together, as has been the case with the negotiations that have been taking place. So far not successful, actually failed, but we would have wanted to see negotiations with Azerbaijan and Armenia here. Secondly, on Turkey, we also will continue to look at the country that can be a partner. We ask the questions, we ask and express human rights concerns, but for us, the European political community is precisely the opportunity to have everybody around the same table. So I would always say it's a pity when countries are not represented. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. See you later.
Sobre la amnistía, le acabamos de preguntar al presidente del gobierno, usted que siempre habla claro, ¿qué opina de la amnistía si se produce?
Sobre el acuerdo de migración, es una buena noticia que se hayan llegado ya a acuerdos en el seno del Consejo de Ministros. Ahora se trata de que estos acuerdos los acepte, los incorpore a la acción que hay que tomar en el Consejo Europeo. Sé que hay todavía problemas por parte de algunos países, pero este es un momento decisivo para que Europa adopte acuerdos operativos para hacer frente a los flujos de migración cada vez mayores que pesan sobre el continente y en particular sobre algunos países. Este va a ser uno de los grandes temas, cómo prepararnos para la ampliación y cómo hacer frente a los movimientos migratorios. Y sobre las cuestiones de interés nacional, me va usted a permitir que considere que este no es el momento ni el lugar para entrar en ellos. Tiempo va a haber. Gracias. Es una pena que Azerbaiyán no esté aquí. Y es una pena que Turquía, que es el principal país que apoya a Azerbaiyán, tampoco esté aquí. Por lo tanto, no vamos a poder hablar aquí de algo tan grave como el hecho de que más de 100.000 personas hayan tenido que abandonar a prisa y corriendo sus casas huyendo de un acto de fuerza militar. Condenamos los actos de fuerza militar para resolver los conflictos. Ayudamos a estos refugiados y espero que en Bruselas puedan haber reuniones entre Armenia y Azerbaiyán, sobre todo para evitar que el conflicto vaya más y para estabilizar políticamente Armenia. Muchas gracias. Hablaremos de estos temas más tarde, cuando el momento llegue. Gracias.
Yeah. Question, you are a bit far.
In the table, there are proposals for 50 billion euros for the civilian and economic side and 20 billion for the military side. And we did that before waiting for the US to take decisions. Certainly we do more, but the US is something imprescindible for the support of Ukraine.
How does Nagorno-Karabakh affect the agenda of the European Union? There's question marks about...
Wirklich uns mal dann den formellen, ja, vielleicht formelleren Treffen auch, mal Schritte mal zu machen, wo auch mal sehen, wo die Schweiz etwas helfen kann.
Letztes Mal haben Sie Präsident Zelensky getroffen. Wie wichtig ist das Thema Ukraine aus Ihrer Sicht?
Ja, es ist zentral, es bleibt absolut zentral, nicht nur für die Schweiz, für den ganzen Kontinent, aber Sie haben vielleicht es gesehen, letzte Woche hat die Schweiz auch noch einen Schritt gemacht mit 100 Millionen für die Entminung. Das ist auch ein wichtiger Schritt und es zeigt einmal mehr, dass wir sehr solidarisch sind mit Ukraine. Aber jetzt muss man auch sehen, es dauert diesen Krieg seit mehr als 18 Monate und es ist wirklich außerordentlich wichtig, dass man auch für die nächsten Monate mal sieht, wie es mal sich weiterentwickelt. Daher auch alle meine Kontakte auch auf anderen Kontinenten, in Afrika, in Südamerika, weil es darf nicht sein, dass es wird als kontinentale Angelegenheit gesehen. Nein, es ist eine Weltangelegenheit, es betrifft wirklich alle.
Frage zu Bergkarabach. Was ist die Haltung der Schweiz und wieso verurteilen wir das nicht so, wie das andere Länder?
Ja, wissen Sie, die Haltung der Schweiz ist da schon seit langem. Sind wir immer wieder in Kontakt gewesen mit unterschiedlichen Parteien. Sie kennen auch die Rolle der Schweiz, die Möglichkeiten, die wir haben können, auch etwas anzubieten in Situationen von Konflikten. Und ich glaube, heute wird es auch ein interessanter Moment sein, mal um informell ein bisschen zu hören, auch wie andere reagieren dazu.
Ein Thema ist auch der Konflikt zwischen Kosovo und Serbien. Wie sehen Sie die aktuelle Situation und was kann die Schweiz da zur Lösung beitragen?
Ja, wissen Sie, ich habe Präsident Vučić in New York kurz getroffen. Ich habe Premierminister Kurti in Bern gesehen. Es ist klar für uns, für die Schweiz ist von einer zentralen Angelegenheit, eine friedliche und stabile Situation in der Balkan zu haben. Es ist wirklich unser Interesse auch direkt. Wir haben eine sehr starke auch, wie sagt man das, Verflechtung zwischen Bevölkerungen. Es gibt auch sehr viele Kontakte und ich glaube, die Signale sind gesetzt. Es war schon das letzte Mal in Chisinau ein zentraler Punkt, diese Diskussion damals. Und ich glaube, die Schweiz ist wirklich da, um zu helfen, wirklich eine stabile Situation zu haben.
Kann die Schweiz eine Mittelrolle einnehmen?
Ja, ich habe einfach in diese Kontakte immer wieder mal betont, was für uns wichtig ist, diese stabile Situation, dass es wird da wirklich auch gesprochen miteinander, es passiert auch und dass man versucht, auch eine Situation, eine Lösung zu finden, vor allem im Nord-Kosovo, für eine gute Integration von alle, eine gute Situation für alle die Leute, die auf dem Terrain einfach leben. Aber muss man auch sehen, die ganze Region hat und kennt eine schwierige Situation seit langem, das ist nichts Neues, aber wir müssen auch dabei sein, wir sind auch dabei, um diese Lösungen und stabile Situation zu unterstützen.
Es gibt mehrere europäische Länder, die strafbare bei Serbien sehen und auch Grenzen fordern. Wo sehen Sie die?
Ja, es liegt nicht an mir, jetzt mal Punkte zu verteilen und zu sagen, wer wie zu denken hat. Ich glaube, wir müssen das reservieren und auch mal zusammen diskutieren mit den direkten Betroffenen und nicht hier. Ich danke für das Verständnis dafür. Aber wir müssen auch einfach mal Schritte machen. Es gibt die Europäische Union, die sich auch sehr stark mal engagiert hat. Das war auch ein Thema in Chisinau. Ich freue mich auch sehr, heute zu sehen, was es wird geben als Diskussion.
Und wer werden Sie heute bilaterale Gespräche?
Ich habe einige bilaterale Gespräche, die vorbereitet sind. Die Liste habe ich nicht im Kopf. Es gibt sehr viele, aber vor allem die CPE, diese Treffen hier, die sind so wichtig für die informellen Treffen. Und ich bin sicher, ich werde mit beinahe allen mal in Kontakt treten können. Ich kenne auch allen und diese Momente helfen sehr, diese auch menschliche Kontakte zu pflegen.
Letztes Jahr findet der Gipfel in Großbritannien statt. Sie haben jetzt gesagt, mehrmals, dass diese Veranstaltung wichtig ist.
Good morning. So this is the third EPC today that is starting after Prague and Chisinau. And actually it is the third time that at the core of our discussion is our support for Ukraine. And this symbolizes also the strong support that the European political community has for Ukraine. I very much welcome that President Zelensky is going to join us here. On Monday, the 27 ministers for foreign affairs and the HRVP were in Kiev to support Ukraine. So there's a strong message to Putin from Dublin to Chisinau that we do not tolerate aggression against a sovereign state. One of the topics here will also be energy. And indeed, we had a massive energy crisis due to the blackmail of Russia with fossil fuels. We've mastered this crisis. The prices have gone down drastically. And most importantly, our storages are filled, and we have created a joint platform to buy gas together. This is a big success, and the success is seen can be seen because of the fact that not only the 27 member states have joined this platform for energy, but also other members of the European political community like Norway, Ukraine, Moldova, or Serbia. We have been able to get rid of the Russian dependency on fossil fuels. We have massively invested in renewables, and indeed last year, for the very first time, the European Union was able to produce more electricity from renewables, wind and sun, than from gas. And of course, Armenia will play a role today in the discussions too. I will meet the Prime Minister of Armenia in a bilateral here. We strongly support Armenia and support it in its humanitarian needs. We have already allocated 5.2 million euros. I will tell the Prime Minister today that I'm happy that we double this amount to 10.4 million euros and that we are providing 15 million euros of direct budget support under the country's annual program. And we will discuss what else we can do to support Armenia in this difficult situation.
President, on Armenia and Azerbaijan, you've talked about what you can do for Armenia, but is there any action that the European Union will take against Azerbaijan for a military operation that has triggered the exodus of 100,000 ethnic Armenians from the
We have immediately, end of September, issued a very strong statement of condemnation of the military operation of Azerbaijan in Nagorno-Karabakh and called strongly on a resuming of dialogue and a peaceful solution. This is what we are working on, and important for us is to support Armenia. So we have been, it was very important that President Biden informed us at the beginning of this week what the support for Ukraine is concerned from the side of the United States. Here in the European Union, we're working on a package of 50 billion euros for Ukraine for the years 24 to 27. This is very important because Ukraine needs predictability and reliability in the direct budget support. As far as I oversee the situation in the United States, I'm very confident of support for Ukraine from the United States. What the United States is working on is the timing.
Are there any developments regarding Southern Gas Corridor and Turkey Gas Hub?
Are you afraid that the U.S. support to Ukraine could be reduced in the near future?
As I said,
Buongiorno, Presidente. Buongiorno Presidenta, you're going to talk to the press? Yes? Okay. Benvenuto.
team building.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Am I spokesperson? Focus?
We're going to start the report, right?
Yes, I'm afraid so. Thank you. Good morning. Well, I think it is good that we meet today, that we have this format with the European political community, because so many issues are bigger than just the borders of the European Union. Important topics. I think it's good that we meet here with the
What about Serbia and Kosovo? This seems to escalate further.
Mi hanno chiesto il piano Mattei, spiegato.
Ollie. Yeah, the other point. Dice que hay otros puntos. Dice indicarle qué punto puede. Welcome.
Hello, it's nice to see you all again in such a sunny environment. Today we have the European political community meeting again, so it's a good platform to talk to each other. It's very sad that some European countries are not coming. We heard that Erdogan is not coming and Azerbaijan is not participating because this is the platform where we all should talk to each other. So I'm participating in the panel or roundtable on multilateralism and security. Russia does not believe in multilateralism, so we have to do everything to prove that we are united and we talk to each other and we make multilateralism work. We had the UN General Assembly and the discussions how the UN should function and how the UN Charter should really function so that we would have peace in the world. So hopefully we have good discussions today.
Are you afraid that the U.S. support for Ukraine will be shrinking in the near future?
No, not directly. I mean, we have the discussions everywhere, and U.S. has committed their support to Ukraine, as other countries in Europe as well. And I think Russia wants us to be tired, and we shouldn't show them that we are, because we are not. We have to help Ukraine as long as it takes. We have to endure the war as they are enduring the war. And we have to do everything to help Ukraine. Yes, these are very worrying tendencies that we have in Europe, and therefore these platforms like today could be good places to talk to each other. But unfortunately, I don't think that today we're going to see any positive results. But talking to each other in Europe is definitely bringing the tensions down. I didn't hear your question. Europe actually is helping Ukraine a lot, and we have to do more. And everybody who has more in their stocks should give more. Russia is thinking that they will endure pain much longer, but we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't give them that. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's in internal US discussions. We cannot interfere in it, but it's still important to support as European Union. We cannot compensate. This will be not possible, but we have to continue to support as much as we can. But it's in internal US affairs, and we hope that they will find a solution soon in the interest of Ukraine and also stability.
Let me just ask you about the geopolitical context, because of course we're still having this war in Ukraine, conflict, Serbia, Kosovo, Armenia, Azerbaijan. What do you make of this complexity in geopolitics at this stage?
We have so many troubles, it's a fact. I really hope that today we'll be able to exchange that what is important for Kosovo, Serbia. We have a plan on the table, so it has to be implemented. In Azerbaijan and Armenia, I don't know now if the president of Azerbaijan is coming. I heard he might cancel his presence. I don't know. There are enough troubles. We don't have to make homemade troubles on our own continent. I think this is in the interest of all of us.
Can I ask you one final question on the UK specifically? Because we saw...
Sorry.
We've seen the UK changing some of their climate policies. There's also that argument in some European countries at this stage. When you look at climate policy in the coming years, are you worried that we're actually reversing some
Yes,
of the targets?
I'm very worried about it. If we do not understand that to have 35 degrees in October is normal, if some people think it's normal, we will have 25 degrees on Sunday in Luxembourg. We see that we have troubles with water. Do we really need to have even more problems, that people understand that there is not the climate change but the climate crisis, and that we shouldn't be less ambitious? We should even be more ambitious, and every try to do less is really bad direction. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We are aware, and you are aware, that there are challenges since inside the organization, as well in Russia and Belarus. And we are in constant communication in order to drive the processes towards a peaceful Europe. But in order to have a peaceful Europe, then the first thing what is needed is the stop of the war in Ukraine, and Ukraine to preserve its territorial integrity and to fulfill its goals of the people of Ukraine to have a democratic and sovereign country as they are. So we will continue until the end of our chairmanship to be a country which will take all the important opinions into consideration and to organize a successful summit by the end of the year. We are in preparations, and at this moment I cannot give you all the details, but the ministerial meeting is under preparation for December in Skopje, the capital of North Macedonia. Thank you. Па најпрвен, јас денес се представувам Северна Македонија, ново исклучително важен составок на Европската политичка заедница. Тука се практично представници на сите земји од Европа, без Русија и Белорусија. Една од главните теми која што е од најголемо значење за нас е и проширувањето на Европската Унија. Вие знаете дека после долго време на агендата на Европската Унија е проширувањето. Ќе разговараме нормално и на теми кои што се однесуваат и на дигитализацијата и на воведувањето на вештачката интелигенција, се со цел да се подобрат услугите за граѓаните, и тоа ќе биде една од работните средби на кои што јас ќе учествувам заедно со премиерите на Италија, на Франција, на Обединетото кралство и на низа други, на представникот на Европскиот парламент, на Европската комисија. Исто така значено е што утре ќе биде одржан и неформален состанок на Европскиот совет, на кој што ќе се разговара толкму на прашања кои што се значени за нас, а тоа е пред се мирот и безбедноста во Европа, поддршката на Украина, но и проширувањето на Европската унија. Како што најави председателот на Европскиот совет Шарл Мишел пред повеќе од еден месец, веќе во рамки на Европската унија се води дебата во однос на подготовката на Европската унија за прием на нови членки од една страна и од друга страна процесите за пристапување кои што самите земји членки ги имаат со Европската унија. Ние мислам дека се наоѓаме во одлична позиција со оглед на тоа дека минатата година ги отпочнавме преговорите со Европската унија. Од друга страна Европската унија има стратешки интерес и веќе отворен процес за свое прилагодување, кој што е паралелен процес во однос на тоа дека ќе треба да функционира во иднина со земји кои што имаат поголем број од сегашниот, што значи дека ќе постои динамика и на страната на земјите на кандидати за членство. Пред се тука мислам на земјите од Западен Балкан, вклучително и на Северна Македонија, меѓутоа и динамика внатре во Европската унија во однос на прилагодување на функционирањето со повеќе земји членки. Веќе е јасно на сите дека Германија и Франција имаат изработено работен документ кој што се однесува на кои се тие стратешки промени кои што треба да се направат. Јас тоа не можам да го коментирам во моментот, бидејќи се работи за работен документ кој што не е финален, и затоа ќе оставам тие да го комуницираат, иако го имам видено, и сметам дека тоа што стои како предлог во самиот работен документ е позитивно за нашата држава и за земјите од регионот. Се надевам на успешни состаноци, ќе имам и билатерална средба со премиерот на Холандија, со премиерот на Ирска и со подпредседателот на Европската комисија. Ви благодарам и ви посакувам и на вас успешен работен ден.
Good morning, everyone. This meeting is again an important one. This is the third edition of this European political community, and it shows the relevance of the meeting because this is an occasion to exchange views, also in an informal way. And there are many challenges for the European continent. Certainly the consequences of the war launched by Russia against Ukraine, important to reaffirm our solidarity with the Ukrainians. The energy sector is extremely important. That's why on the EU side we've decided to double our efforts for the renewable energy. We have decided to triple the efforts for the energy efficiency, and we are also working very hard, and such a platform can help to reduce the conflicts, to prevent the conflicts when possible, to reduce the conflicts and to address the difficulties we face. I am confident that again this meeting under the Spanish presidency will be the occasion to bring the European continent closer to common goals, stability, prosperity, security. It should be our common priorities. Cette réunion est une réunion importante parce que ça va être l'occasion pour beaucoup de leaders de se rencontrer, de discuter et de progresser ensemble sur des sujets qui concernent l'intérêt commun pour l'avenir du continent européen, les questions d'énergie, les questions liées à la connectivité et puis certainement les conséquences de la guerre de la Russie contre l'Ukraine seront à l'ordre du jour. Et puis je pense que cette réunion est aussi l'occasion de multiples rencontres informelles pour tenter de prévenir un certain nombre de conflits, un certain nombre de tensions, de tenter d'apporter un certain nombre d'apaisements et de solutions. Thank you. Yes, please. We had a few days ago a very important phone call with the President, Joe Biden, a very important moment because he reassured us and we feel his personal leadership, his personal commitment to make sure that the United States will support Ukraine in the long run, will help Ukraine in the long run, and we work very closely together. And you know that on the EU side we have already mobilized 82 billion euros for Ukraine, to assist Ukraine, and you know that we are working hard to decide an additional package. There is a proposal on the table with 50 billion euros for the Ukraine facility and with 20 billion euros for the European Peace Facility for more military equipment for Ukraine. This is very tangible, very concrete, and it's our duty to support Ukraine. First point, we are shocked by this decision taken by Azerbaijan to use the military force. Is one first element. Second point, I had a phone call 2 days ago with the president of Azerbaijan, and he made very clear that they do not have territorial claim on Armenia. It should be set in a very vocal way, I think, to make sure that there is the mutual recognition for the territorial integrity. This is my second point. And point three, we will help Armenia to face the consequences of this military operation started by Azerbaijan. There are a lot of refugees in Armenia, and we need to support with humanitarian assistance on the one hand, but we also need to take into account the wish in Armenia to strengthen the ties between Armenia and the European Union, and I am in favor of this rapprochement between Armenia and the European Union. And I want to be clear, we made a promise a few years ago to Armenia in terms of investment package with more than 2 billion euros promised to Armenia. We must deliver. We cannot procrastinate. We must deliver. Armenia needs our support. Sorry?
Neither Turkey nor Azerbaijan are here. I mean, European diplomacy isn't working.
This is extremely important not to give up, never to give up. And I believe that the diplomatical efforts are needed even when there are difficulties, even when there are setbacks. And you know that we'll have the occasion today to meet together with President Macron, with President Scholz, and with Prime Minister Pashinyan. I take note, there is a decision taken by President Aliyev not to attend the meeting. I take note, but we do not give up, and we are absolutely convinced that this is our interest within the EU to have a stable and prosperous Caucasus. And you know, before we start at the EU level the mediation, we were not very active and present in that region. With this EU mediation effort, it means that we are defending our interests, we are promoting our values in that region. It is what we need to do. The European Union is a fundamental political project. We need to protect and to defend the interests of our citizens, and the interests of our citizens, this is very clear, this is a stable and prosperous neighborhood, including in the South Caucasus. This is his decision, and we have tried to work to prepare a meeting with President Aliyev and with Prime Minister Pashinyan. We have proposed some ideas to make sure that we can bring more stability, more serenity, that we can address the humanitarian consequences of the situation. This is his decision, and I do not intend to comment publicly his decision. I will have the occasion to tell to him directly what is my feeling about the decision not to come.
Mr. President, why Europe stayed silent for almost 30 years and 1 million of displaced Azerbaijan people from Karabakh and Armenia, and is actively speaking now on behalf of Armenia? Do you think Europe can be a neutral mediator after that?
answer number one, yes, the EU is a neutral mediator because the EU has no hidden agenda. Our agenda is very clear. This is prosperity, stability, security, and predictability, point one. And point two, we made a lot of progress in the past with the mediation. When we started the mediation about 3 years ago, we made some concrete and tangible result with the exchange of prisoners, with some progress in terms of exchange of mining maps, in terms of discussions that have started for the border delimitation, with the launch of 2 border commissions that are supposed to work together. We made progress on the connectivity by discussing the details of the modalities and the principles of sovereignty and jurisdiction and reciprocity that should be guaranteed in terms of efforts for improving the connectivity in the region. But we are very sincere, we are very honest, we understand that more diplomatic efforts are needed. This is what we will do today with the Prime Minister of Armenia. Thank you, just a pleasure to meet you this morning. Thank you. Bye.
What do you think you have?
I saw the...
Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you.
How do you get out of the current crisis? Tell us.
We'll get it out. Okay.
Good morning, Prime Minister. How are you? You want something first? Somebody something to you or? Someone from your team? You want something from your team? Okay, good. Welcome. Gracias.
¿Quién es Oscar? ¿Quién es? Suecia. Suecia.
Presidente, ¿no? Presidente. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Migration pact, and could it involve Ireland taking a quota of refugees from migrants from other countries?
Yeah, we don't really have clarity on it at the moment. Some progress was made at the Justice Ministers meeting there the other day, but I haven't had a chance to study what's been agreed. I think, though, from Ireland's point of view, it wouldn't really be so much about taking a quota of refugees. You know, we've accepted a huge number of people in the last year or two. Maybe 100,000 people from Ukraine and other parts of the world. So I think we're in a different place as a country now, really struggling to accommodate the numbers that we have. But certainly what it is about is a number of things, but one of those is more cooperation at European level and also securing the outer borders of the European Union so that we can put more control on irregular entries into the continent, which is important for us too.
So is that, if we don't take a voluntary quota, that would mean paying into the fund, is that right?
Yeah, that's an option. So you can have the option of accepting refugees who are in other parts of the European Union. so they're already in a safe place, or you can make a financial contribution. But realistically, where we are in Ireland at the moment is having accepted over 100,000 people from Ukraine and other parts of the world in the past 2 years. I don't think we're really in a position to accept more voluntary transfers, not until we get on top of the accommodation situation. I think people will understand that. That's not to say that we'll turn away people who come to Ireland, of course we won't do that, but volunteering to take more people is a different thing entirely.
This week, some figures emerged on what it would cost to let the Ukraine into the European Union, including a calculation that under current rules it would mean a 20% cut to camp farming payments. Does this put a damper at all on Ireland's support for Ukraine's membership?
I'm a strong supporter of Ukrainian membership of the European Union, and not just Ukraine, also the Western Balkans and Moldova. And if you look at things in the round, if you take the broader view, the longer term view, enlargement is always good for Europe. It helps to provide us with security, helps to embed democracy and human rights, and also helps the European economy to grow in the round. So I think it's really important that when we look at these questions, we don't see them just as a financial calculation. If Ukraine, Moldova, the Western Balkans join the European Union, they'll become wealthier in due course, just like Ireland. They may yet become contributors to the budget. Certainly when it comes to CAP reform, a further enlargement will of course trigger a lot of reforms. What might be necessary is countries making larger contributions so that we can protect the budget for CAP, but that's all way off. I'd be very keen to see Ukraine begin talks on membership this December. That decision isn't made yet, but I hope we can make that decision. But the time from beginning talks to actually becoming a member, it often takes many years, more than 10 or 15 years. So by then the budget and the CAP will be in a very different place, I think. So I really would hope that we don't create those kind of fears.
Just on roads funding, Transport Minister Amy Ryan was born last year by Transport Infrastructure Ireland. The alliance was proper investment in roads. You see 77 deaths over the next 5 years. What does the CEO of deaths on our roads in recent years? What is your response?
Well, we have a lot of investment in roads. Hundreds of millions of euros go into maintenance and restoration of our local, regional, national roads every year. And in addition to that, we sign off on new projects. Only this month, nearly €500 million being invested in road upgrades in the northwest for the N5. It's always the case that any government agency will always say they need more money, and if we don't give them more money, there will be negative consequences. People make their case for more money. And I wouldn't expect anything different. That's the normal course of budgetary negotiations. But I do support more funding for roads, I should be clear on that. But also we need to make sure there's adequate funding for public transport. Some really big, important public transport's about to come through planning, like Bus Connects in Dublin, like Cork Metropolitan Rail. And we have a commitment in the programme for government to make sure that funding for public transport outweighs investment in roads by 2 to 1, and that makes sense to me as well. Yeah, well, look forward to meeting him. It's our second bilateral, although we have spoken on by phone a number of times. Really, a couple of things on the agenda. We'll be interested to hear from him how he feels the discussions between the UK government and the DUP are going with respect to restoring institutions in Northern Ireland. Really important for both of us. And of course, we'll want to discuss the Legacy Act and reaffirming our position on that. And I suppose in a more positive space, we're going to talk about UEFA 2028. Really delighted that UK and Ireland will be hosting that tournament. Want to talk to him about our willingness to make a funding contribution to Casement Park in Belfast, one of the 2 stadiums in Ireland that will be used, the other being the Aviva. And also we're going to talk about the common travel area, because again, that's very important for us, that the common travel area between Britain and Ireland functions, but also that we secure the outer border around Ireland and Britain as well.
Of Kosovo, and to have the opportunity to speak to European leaders. As you know, these are very difficult times for the entire European continent, particularly for my country, as we recently faced an act of aggression by Serbia that was committed through terrorist and paramilitary groups. I'm here to ask for the support of European allies and partners to sanction Serbia so that they are not encouraged and emboldened to commit such acts of aggression against Kosovo and against other neighbors again and again. Unfortunately, what we have seen in the past 2 years.
We'll certainly discuss the issue of UK legacy legislation. That's something the Irish government are very opposed to, and so are the victims groups, and so are the 5 main parties in Northern Ireland. we believe it is potentially contravention of the
რომელიც გაზიარება ჩვენს ევროპელ კოლეგებს უწევს და მოუწევს ეს მე ვჯერა რომ ევროპის კავშირი გაიმარჯვებს სახი აზრი უნიორობა გაიმარჯვებს და წინ დახედოს და მე ვფიქრობ ევროპა აღარ დაუშვებს იმ შემთხვევაში რომელიც შაქთან დაუშვებს თუმცა საქართველოს უნდა ითქვას
Sve ok. Kako ste? Jeste dobro? Lijepo je ovo, ponovo ljeto. Andalusija. Može. Evo, treći sastanak Europske političke zajednice. Naravno da će biti prigoda, budući da dolazi i ukrajinski predsjednik Zelenski, da razgovaramo o najrecentnijoj situaciji u vezi Ukrajine, daljnjoj podršci i solidarnosti svih članica i Europske unije, ali i zemalja uključenih u ovu zajednicu. Razgovarat ćemo i o pitanju energetike, nezakonitih migracija, pitanju proširenja, jer ovaj format i jest sastavljen na ovaj način da u puno širem krugu nego što je to članstvo Unije gledamo u kojoj su fazi pripreme pojedinih zemalja koji imaju ambiciju za članstvo i to je ono što je u ovom trenutku najvažnije za Hrvatsku, je naravno važna naša podrška Bosni i Hercegovini posebno, ali isto tako s državama jugoistoka Europe i Ukrajini i Moldovi i želimo da taj cijeli proces bude kvalitetno strukturiran i da se ostvare napreci i u ispunjavanju reformi i da taj napredak bude temeljem individualnih postignuća svake od zemalja.
Da li mislite da je Europska unija na prikladan način odgovorila na humanitarnu krizu i na progon zapravo 120.000 Armenaca u trenutku kada druga država silom pokušava riješiti pogranične pitanje?
Pa to je trebala biti jedna od tema na marginama ovoga skupa, ali prema zadnjim informacijama koliko sam sada obaviješten i izbrifiran od naših veleposlanica, ovdje na kraju u Granadu neće doći niti azerbajdžanski predsjednik Alijev, niti će doći turski predsjednik Erdogan. Bila je ideja da bude jedan sastanak kakav je već bio ranije u informatima. Ono što se dogodilo se jako brzo, točno u pravu ste, bez neke prevelike reakcije međunarodne zajednice, međutim cijelo to vrijeme su i predsjednik Europskog vijeća i predsjednica komisije bili u kontaktu sa dužnosnicima najvišima i Azerbajdžana i Armenije. Ono što je u ovom trenutku, recimo to tako, pozitivno, da je bilo relativno malo žrtava i da je taj cijeli proces odlaska ljudi iz Gorskoga Karabaha prema Armeniji prošao relativno brzo. Ja sam o tome razgovarao i sa predsjednicom Međunarodnog Crvenog križa, koja je inače Hrvatica, Mirjana Špoljarić-Eger, pa nam je ona dala jedan briefing sa aspekta njih koji su na terenu.
Recite, imate bilateralu, čuli smo sa kosovskom predsjednicom. Da li smatrate i da li postoji konsenzus ili barem nekakva politička volja da se sankcionira Srbija zbog opet oružane prijetnje na samoj granici te države?
Da, pa predsjednica Kosova Vjosa Osmani tražila je susret, što je dobro. Ona inače idućeg tjedna u planiranom posjetu Zagrebu, tako da ćemo razgovarati i danas, a i vjerojatno malo detaljnije idući tjedan. Ono što je važno da vidimo da ta reakcija Europske unije, i tu čekamo prijedlog i visokog predstavnika Borela i Europske komisije, kako reagirati na ovaj teški incident i mini krizu koja je nastala na sjeveru Kosova u Banjskoj. Ja sam o tome nešto rekao i na sastanku odnosno i na preskonferenciji i na sastanku kada je u Zagrebu bio albanski premijer Rama u ponedjeljak. Prema tome ne može takva situacija ostati bez reakcije, dapače.
Vi sudjelujete na okruglom stolu o digitalnoj ekonomiji, digitalnoj tranziciji i umjetnoj inteligenciji. Znači li to da se fokus vaše vlade premješta više na ekonomsku?
Pa naš fokus je stalno i na ekonomskim i na socijalnim pitanjima, ali proces digitalizacije je jedan od 4 temeljna procesa za Hrvatsku državu, za razvoj cijelog društva u ovom desetljeću. Dakle, demografska revitalizacija, dekarbonizacija, dakle obnovljivi izvori energije, digitalizacija i obrazovanje. To su 4 stupa koji su dio i naše nacionalne razvojne strategije i onoga što želimo uložiti. Mi imamo 3 paralelna vijeća, Vijeće za digitalno društvo, Vijeće za održivi razvoj i Vijeće za demografsku revitalizaciju. Tako da ćemo kroz ta 3 procesa naravno dati doprinos da Hrvatska ide u potpunosti u korak sa onim što je 4. industrijska revolucija, a proces digitalizacije je tu ključan, kao i korištenje korisno i ispravno i regulirano umjetne inteligencije, a mi smo na zadnjem tom sastanku inauguralnom koji je bio sa cijelim sektorom digitalnim u Hrvatskoj odlučili da trebamo u sljedećih nekoliko godina za 100% povećati broj zaposlenih u digitalnom sektoru u Hrvatskoj. Tu imamo sjajnih primjera i poduzetnika koji su praktički od garaža i malih startupa postali velike kompanije utjecajne i sa globalnim i europskim dosegom. Tako da je to dobro da budemo i na takvim panelima sa porukama i postignuća i planova.
Samo jedno zadnje pitanje za ovaj politički forum se kaže da je najvažnije ono što će se govoriti sa strane. Koja je vaša najvažnija tema sa strane?
Pa mislim da je ovdje ključno pitanje vidjeti kakva je situacija potpore Ukrajini i kako dalje sa procesom proširenja. Na razini Europe vodi se jedna velika strateška debata što učiniti u promijenjenom geopolitičkom kontekstu gdje 6 zemalja jugoistoka Europe želi prema Uniji, gdje Ukrajina i Moldova rade napredak, gdje Europska komisija treba izaći sa svojim...
Of course, this is a difficult time for Europe as a whole, but in particular for my country that recently faced an act of aggression committed on the 24th of September by the side of Serbia. I do hope that we will have an opportunity to speak with like-minded European leaders in order to discuss together how harsh measures and sanctions against Serbia can be adopted so that they do not get emboldened and encouraged to commit such acts of aggression again. We will ask for the support of European leaders to secure the border of Kosovo, the border between Kosovo and Serbia, because that is fundamental to keep peace and stability in the entire Western Balkans regions. We need to understand that there can be no business as usual since the 24th of September, where Serbia committed this act through terrorist and paramilitary groups, and by endangering Kosovo, they have endangered the entire European continent. You can imagine if Serbia allows for this military-scale weapons to get into Kosovo through the orders of the leadership of Serbia, through terrorist groups in the way that they did on the 24th of September, tomorrow those same military-scale weapons will get in the hands of terrorists also in Berlin, here in Spain, in London or elsewhere. So we need to work together to stop the aggressor from spreading the threat in the Western Balkans as well as elsewhere.
We have one question. What do you think about future Serbia, future European political community, since you said you have an aggression from them? Is it one country should have membership of the European political community, do this with other parties?
I don't think Serbia's place is in the European political community. Of course, this is going to be an issue that needs to be decided by those who have started this initiative, which we in Kosovo have supported, are one of the founding and equal members of this initiative. However, this is a table for like-minded countries who believe in peace, who believe in stability, who defend European values. Serbia, unfortunately, is not one of them. Whoever had any doubt that they might be, they were convinced on the 24th of September that this is a country that wants to attack not just its neighbors, but also wants to attack the values-based system that the European Union and NATO and organizations such as the EPC represent.
President, can you see the normalization dialogue restarting at any point, or is that dead?
I believe that the very first step that needs to be undertaken is sanctions against Serbia. If there are no sanctions against Serbia, they will abuse the normalization dialogue as a process through which it is the face of Vučić as the aggressor that is normalized, instead of a process through which the relations between Kosovo and Serbia are normalized. So I see the steps as follows: sanctions against Serbia, security guarantees for Kosovo, and once we have that in place, hopefully Serbia would have learned the lesson that use of force is not the solution that we should seek. That dialogue and peace is the solution forward. Unfortunately, they talk about peace, and as we speak, they have their military around the border with Kosovo, and they want to invade their members. So we've heard this kind of language in the past. It's straight from the book of Milosevic in the 90s, is straight from the book of Putin in 2014. They say we want peace. They say we had nothing to do with the attacks, but actually their hands are all over it. What happened on the 24th of September in Kosovo was carried out by the orders of the leadership of Serbia.
Do you expect any message from the Spanish government?
I hope so. Spain is a country that is contributing to peace and stability in the entire European continent. I do hope that they will understand that supporting an aggressor, for which there is clear evidence from the 24th of September, is not going to help peace and stability. So I do hope that Spain will join other like-minded countries in Europe to adopt measures towards Serbia for this horrendous act that it has committed, not just against Kosovo, but against peace and stability and security in the entire European continent. We don't have confirmed meetings alone, but I'm sure that I will have the opportunity, because in this setting, most of the discussions are taking place while we are all in the same room. So I do hope that we will have that opportunity to discuss this. There's no reason to meet before sanctions are adopted towards Vučić. Sanctions first, and then we can talk about the rest. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Progress today in de-escalating the crisis between Kosovo and Serbia in the meetings today?
I strongly believe that the only way forward to de-escalate the situation, which was escalated by the act of aggression of Serbia, is if European countries agree on sanctions and harsh measures against Serbia. Otherwise, if we pretend that this is business as usual, that if we pretend that we can just sit and talk about technical issues, but forget about the fact that there was an act of aggression organized by the leadership of Serbia, carried out by terrorist groups that were trained and armed by the leadership of Serbia, then this will simply be seen as an emboldening and encouraging towards Vučić to commit these acts again and again. So, of course, I will be using this opportunity to talk to like-minded European leaders about the risk that we're facing, about the threat that it's not just against Kosovo, but the entire Western Balkans region, and wider than that, it's a threat against the European continent and the values that we strongly believe in and fight for. And I do hope that we will have the support, understanding, but beyond that, statements are not enough any longer. We need action, we need measures, we need a unanimous support towards Kosovo while we are facing this threat from Serbia.
But do you detect any appetite for that realistically? I don't hear any of those major leaders saying they're going to impose measures on Serbia.
There are some countries that are absolutely ready to impose measures. We're going to work hard to convince more, and I do hope that they will do this not for the sake of the fact that Kosovo is asking for that, but for the sake of peace and stability in the region and beyond. The fact that Serbia got away with the attacks that it had carried out before, kidnapping Kosovo police officers within Kosovo territory, which was another act of aggression, committing violence through their own gangs against NATO soldiers, still no justice, because most of them are hiding in Serbia because they got away with it. They thought they can get away with the 24th of September as well. So I think they need a clear message, but also clear action now, so that we can thwart such kind of action by Serbia in the future.
Wouldn't it be perhaps better to focus your energy on getting the measures that have been taken against Kosovo removed, and then you both start with a blank slate, than having measures imposed on both sides?
No,
doesn't sound like
no.
de-escalation.
Look, the measures against Kosovo have absolutely been a great injustice, but also very much improportional, because that disagreement was something that we could have overcome with our allies. It was something that happened in Kosovo territory. No violence was used against anyone. Simply Kosovo's constitution was respected. However, we cannot fall into the both-sidism trap here. No matter what happens with the sanctions against Kosovo, which I repeat had been removed even long ago, there must be sanctions against Serbia. Otherwise, they will do it again and again and again. They will commit acts of aggression, but this time perhaps not just against Kosovo, but also against other countries in the region. They have appetites to grab others' territories. This is straight from Putin's playbook of 2014 and Milosevic's playbook of 1990s, where they would say we had nothing to do with it, but they were the ones behind the gangs that were starting the wars. So we need to learn from the past, but also the recent future. The recent future has the 24th of September as the lesson from which we need to learn. We cannot pretend that this is business as usual any longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I think I just answered.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
No reason for that. Sanctions for Serbia first, and then we can talk about the rest. Thank you.
Thanks.
antes de caer rendido por el sueño, justo al amanecer, y escribía con las ventanas abiertas, con la mirada perdida en uno de los barrios más característicos de Granada, que es el Albaicín, la Sierra y la Torre de la Vela de la Alhambra que veremos esta tarde, ¿no? Aquí escribió obras como las de Yerma o Bodas de Sangre, y nacieron de aquellas noches de insomnio en esa casa conocida como la Huerta de San Vicente. ¿Por qué os cuento esto? Porque hace 87 años que este gran poeta, Federico García Lorca, uno de los más grandes de la historia de la literatura de España, fue cruelmente silenciada su voz cuando aún le quedaba una larga vida por delante. Le asesinaron muy joven. Y de todos los futuros posibles que le arrebataron a él y a la generación que él representaba entonces, sin duda el compromiso con una Europa unida y en paz, que no llegó, por desgracia, a ver en vida, es el más plausible de todos. Así lo anticipa su obra. Si tenéis ocasión de poder leer algo de su obra, lo veréis. Es todo un grito de libertad, de concordia, de compromiso con la dignidad de los más vulnerables. Un canto de esperanza contra todo tipo de violencia. Hoy esa violencia golpea de nuevo el corazón de Europa. Cuando creíamos haber desterrado para siempre el espectro de la guerra de nuestro continente, nos enfrentamos a un conflicto brutal en términos de vidas perdidas, de devastación. Un conflicto que amenaza, querido Volodymyr, la estabilidad y la seguridad global, y también tiene un impacto económico que trasciende los límites de nuestro continente, como bien sabemos, y cada vez que tenemos ocasión de poder reunirnos con líderes de otros continentes. En la última cumbre de esta Comunidad Política Europea, celebrada en Moldavia, la presidenta Sandu recordaba que el conflicto en Ucrania se libraba a tan solo 20 kilómetros del lugar en el que nos reuníamos entonces. Hoy no son 20 kilómetros, como bien sabéis, sino 4.000 kilómetros de distancia entre Granada, entre esta ciudad, y la capital de Ucrania, Kiev. Y, sin embargo, también hasta aquí han llegado cientos de refugiados y refugiadas que huían de las bombas de Ucrania. A mi juicio, queridos colegas, hay un gran simbolismo en este hecho. Y es que, a pesar de la enorme distancia, incluso física, que nos separa, nuestra vocación, querido Volodymyr, de unidad frente a la agresión rusa es aún más firme. Lo es nuestra voluntad de cooperación frente al imperialismo de Putin, lo es nuestra apuesta por el diálogo, por la paz, por la estabilidad y por la seguridad de Europa frente al uso injustificado de la fuerza. Y este foro, esta Comunidad Política Europea, es expresión de un afán compartido, y es colaborar para construir la Europa del futuro, sea cual sea nuestra posición en el continente, seamos o no miembros de la Unión Europea, como también, por diversas razones, otros países que hayan elegido otro camino distinto al de la integración europea. Esa Europa del futuro, yo creo que solo puede levantarse sobre los cimientos de la seguridad, de la estabilidad y de la prosperidad. Y, por tanto, merece la pena reflexionar estratégicamente, como vamos a hacer, sobre cómo consolidarlos, especialmente en un momento crucial como el que estamos viviendo. Nos une, creo que, la común aspiración de abordar en este espacio flexible e informal los grandes desafíos a los que se enfrenta Europa, desafíos que no se detienen ante fronteras ni entienden de arquitecturas supraestatales, porque su impacto recorre nuestro continente de un extremo a otro. Y en esta tercera cumbre vamos a tener ocasión de abordar algunos de estos retos de futuro que en realidad ya condicionan nuestro presente. Los conocéis bien: el impacto de la digitalización sobre nuestras sociedades, particularmente la inteligencia artificial, la soberanía energética del continente y, por supuesto, un orden internacional basado en reglas, y también cómo fortalecer el multilateralismo. En fin, confío, y ya con esto termino, queridos amigos y amigas, en que esta tercera cumbre de la Comunidad Política Europea nos ayude a encontrar respuestas a estos desafíos y que, por encima de todo, lo que haga sea eso, afianzar los sólidos lazos que ya nos unen, lazos atravesados no solo por la geografía, que nos hace compartir este continente, sino también por el peso y las enseñanzas de la historia. Lo vais a ver en esta tarde, en donde tendremos ocasión de visitar el Palacio de la Alhambra, la historia que late con fuerza en el corazón de esta ciudad de Granada, cuyos muros nos hablan sobre todo de convivencia y de encuentro entre distintas culturas, Los árabes vivieron en España, en la península ibérica, pero en particular en España, durante 600 años, más de 600 años. Nos han dejado una herencia que vamos a poder disfrutar en el día de hoy. Bueno, Granada nos habla de eso, de convivencia y de encuentro entre culturas. Síntesis, en definitiva, de la gran epopeya de este rincón del mundo que se llama Europa. Así que muchísimas gracias por el esfuerzo de venir aquí a Granada. Quiero que sepáis que toda España, Andalucía y en particular esta ciudad, pues os acoge con una gran satisfacción y felicidad y un gran orgullo. Y desde luego, si ese orgullo podemos personalizarlo en una persona en la que todos nos vemos reflejados e inspirados, y desde luego la sociedad española lo está, es sin duda alguna el presidente de Ucrania, Volodymyr Zelensky, al que cedo la palabra.
Much, Pedro, dear Mr. Sanchez, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your kind words about us, our people, about Ukraine. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Dear colleagues, each of us represents Europe, and we may have our own views and sometimes different opinions on European issues. It's normal, but still, we all are Europe. And it's not just about geography, it's about history, morality, and security that we share. This is the unity that has no right to become weaker, because Europe should not be a ruin. You know, this Tuesday I visited Kharkiv region in eastern Ukraine, and at least 1,200,000 residents there in Kharkiv. And the distance from the city to the border with Russia is less than 40 kilometers, or less than 3 minutes of flight time for an S-300 missile, which the Russian army uses to terrorize Kharkiv each day. And thousands of facilities have already been destroyed by such missiles: houses, schools, universities, churches, power plants, transport. But Kharkiv, wounded by this terror, shattered by missile debris, is alive. And we are doing everything we can to protect people and keep regular social and economic activities. We are keeping all key institutions working, from government agencies to our education system, in particular in Kharkiv. And most children in the city study online until there is a fully effective air defense system. Children cannot attend schools. But Kharkiv has found a solution. 65 school classes with more than 1,000 children are taught not online, but in the usual way, as in schools in any other your countries, but in the subway, under the ground. School classrooms that are provided with everything children need: furniture, equipment, Wi-Fi, but in the subway, under the ground. It's really, it's 2023, and the subway is the only safe option for a city of 1 million people to bring children together for school. This is what the neighborhood with Russia means, but it is not only our neighborhood. Various European countries border the terrorist state, and in fact, Russian propagandists and officials talk about them as the next targets of their aggression. Targets. Exactly, that's the word. Dear leaders, are there enough underground stations in your cities where it would be possible to organize protected schooling for children if, of course, if Russia's threats become real, and it is preparing to make them real? I will be honest with you, as I always am. Russia is now considering various scenarios for the coming years. One of them is particularly dangerous. If there is some pause in their aggression against Ukraine, any freezing of the situation, there will be a new critical moment. 2028. If Russia is allowed to adapt now, by the 2028, the Kremlin will be able to restore the military potential that we destroyed, and it will have enough strength to attack the countries in focus of Russian expansion. And in addition to Ukraine, These are definitely the Baltic states and definitely other countries where Russian contingents are present. This is clear information from our intelligence, and we are signaling it directly to you. Russia is trying to free the situation to adapt and learning from its mistakes and preparing to move on. Please remember that the most dangerous enemy is the one who really made conclusions and prepared for the next attack based on, especially on these conclusions. Moscow clearly outlined its ambition to capture more imperial space, to prevent Europe from being a place of free nations and working democracies to break European unity. And war is Russia's basic tool for this, a tool to enslave or to manipulate others. Russia tried for decades to keep control over the neighboring nations by starting wars and by freezing wars. Russia has hurt Moldova, tried to crush and divide Georgia, destabilize other parts of the Caucasus, strangles Belarus, and tries to tear pieces from the body of Ukraine. Every nation that Russia is acting against in some way or another, every state that has suffered from Russia interference or invasion. And we all have to stay in a special unity, stay together, in a special cooperation, and in a special relationship with everyone else in the European Union. We all need a format of support for the nations whose lives Russia has already tried to destroy, so that the ruin caused by Russia can never spread anywhere else. All these countries need economic support, it's true, and all these countries need security guarantees, so that Russia will not even be tempted to try to break their sovereignty ever again. And a clear signal is needed. Russia has no chance. And most importantly, what will give our unity the full strength, the aggressor is most effectively neutralized by defeat in war. Right now, and right in Ukraine, we have the opportunity to cause a fundamental defeat to Russia's aggression. Together with you and our partners, we have already done things that seemed impossible to many. Together we have defended Ukraine. Europe is more independent of Russia than ever before. Europe has truly proven that it has the right to be a global center for the protection of human freedom and international law. And despite of what happens in other parts of the world, despite of what political tornadoes our partners experience, Europe must be strong. Now Europe is following the developments in America and the growing political storm. And Europe has its own potential for strength and its global role, which should be as powerful as possible in all key issues that are important for Europe. And as for political storms, I'm confident in America, confident they are strong people, strong society with strong institutions, strong energy of democracy. And I was recently in Washington, talked with President Biden. I talked to congressmen from both parties, both chambers. They fully support the defense of freedom and understand that it is Russia and us, the enemies to our way of life, who want to ride such political storms. So we in Europe have to be ready. America helped us, helped Europe to survive, and now it is important, very important for Europe not to hide sails from the wind, trying to wait out the storm, but to be together in this uncertain time, to work together, to work united and protect our values, our common space of liberty, common with the US. This mutual support, both in calm times and times of security challenges and turbulence, is the real meaning of the transatlantic partnership. Dear colleagues, thanks to Ukraine, your soldiers are not fighting against Russia right now, and we do not doubt NATO's strength. But I'm sure none of you wants to find out what it will be like if, God forbid, NATO has to stand up for one of you. We have to win in Ukraine so that Putin cannot scale this aggression to someone else, and it is realistic. That's why the key things are our unity. The unity and solidarity of all of our Europe must be unwavering. The unity of all 27 EU countries, all the Europe, not only EU. The strength of our common rules and agreements. The firmness of the EU's ability to expand under the founding treaties. And I thank all of you who really work, who truly work for the strength of the Ukraine, for the strength of the EU. Secondly, we must not allow Putin to destabilize any other parts of the world and our partners in order to ruin Europe's power. We must continue to put pressure with sanctions, politically and economically, so that Russia cannot spread chaos. The presence of Russia, its military or proxies on the territory of any other country is a threat to all of us, I'm sure, and we must work together to push Russia out of the territory of other countries. Thirdly, the capability of Ukrainian soldiers, air defense in our country, especially now, before winter, and the weapons in the hands of our soldiers, missiles, artillery, with which we can destroy the positions of the occupiers and liberate our land and our houses. Every Russian drone shut down in Ukraine, every Russian tank destroyed in Ukraine confirms that this drone, this tank, any other Russian weapon destroyed in Ukraine will not strike anyone else in Europe. And I thank all of you, each and every one of you, your nations, thank you for your defense help. Additional air defense systems for Ukraine, additional artillery and shells, additional long-range missiles and drones for our soldiers, as well as additional formats of support and security guarantees for nations threatened by Russia. All this is a real protection of Europe from further aggressive steps by Russian Federation. And to ensure that in the common future there is no war anywhere in Europe, that no other city in Europe lives through what our Kharkiv, for example, Kharkiv and all the cities and villages of Ukraine are experiencing, then at this time, right now, this year, next year, and above all in Ukraine, our unity must work to the full capacity. Let only Putin's ambitions be a ruin, not our countries, not our people, not our cities. Children of every country deserve to be secure, and everywhere in the country, not just in the subway, not just in the shelters, underground, but everywhere. We must make it possible, and we'll do it. We must win. Thank you for your attention and for invitation. Slava Ukraini.
Thank you. Thank you, Volodymyr, for your testimony. And now I give the floor to President Michel.
Thank you, dear Prime Minister. Thank you, dear Pedro. First of all, let me thank you for hosting us in such a beautiful location. Thank you for your warm welcome, and I feel that we are all impatient to discover tonight the Alhambra. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, this is already the third meeting of our European political community since we launched it 1 year ago in Prague. And I think this shows the relevance of this unique intergovernmental and leaders platform. Unique initiative for boosting cooperation, for increasing what I'm calling our collective intelligence and addressing today's challenges. COVID-19, climate change, energy security, cyber and hybrid threats, and on top of this, Russia's war against Ukraine. These challenges are too large for one nation to tackle alone, and it's why more than ever we must confront them together and take a strategic approach. Dear Volodymyr, I would like to start by addressing you personally, and I would like to repeat again, we stand with you and we stand with the Ukrainian people. We are impressed by your courage and by the courage of the people of Ukraine. We are impressed again by your strong words, and will continue to back you with strong military, political, and financial support. The EU has already mobilized 82 billion euros to support your country, and you know that we are preparing an additional substantial package to assist Ukraine, and will also continue to pile the pressure on Russia to end this war. For instance, we strongly support the efforts with the G7 to ban the imports of Russian diamonds starting next year, and we continue to actively work with international partners to prevent the circumvention of sanctions. And we also fully support your efforts, especially with your peace formula, based on the principles of the UN Charter, based on the principles of no impunity, and based on the principles of the territorial integrity. Dear friends, since the start of the war, the Kremlin has threatened many of us with energy blackmail. And it clearly shows the need for more cooperation, for more continental cooperation. In the EU, for instance, we are tripling our renewable capacity and doubling our energy efficiency. And we intend to continue to strengthen our energy sovereignty. We must invest more, we must innovate more, and work together more. And we are all working together, for instance, to boost our energy connectivity. Just two examples. The North Sea Energy Cooperation will harness the power of offshore wind, and the Trans-Balkan Electricity Corridor will help to integrate renewable energy sources. Migration. Migration is a difficult global challenge. It's a challenge we must all face together, and it means building more cooperation between us in the EU, in Europe, and more cooperation with third countries. And I welcome the proposal of British Prime Minister Sunak to work more closely together on this important topic. And just yesterday, the EU member states took an important step forward on the migration pact, but will also continue to engage with countries of origin and transit to build comprehensive partnerships and address the root causes of migration. Because one thing is clear, we must break the business model of smugglers. They cannot be the ones deciding who comes to the EU. We need to dismantle their criminal networks, and this will require a more intergovernmental approach in the field of policing and justice. And we should also look at the opportunities for legal migration on the one hand, but on the other hand, we need to work for more effective returns. Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely believe this political community platform can play and should play an important role in diffusing conflicts and in helping to resolve them, notably in the South Caucasus and between Serbia and Kosovo. Because conflicts are not only a problem for those directly involved, they are a problem for the region and for our continent. And we should use this unique platform to build more confidence among us, more confidence, more peace, more stability, more predictability. The world is watching our European continent, and some hope we will fail, but many others hope we will succeed. Our citizens want us to lead and to be a force for change in improving their daily life, and it is our responsibility as leaders to show that we can work together to ensure peace, security, and to improve well-being, and to bring the four corners of our continent closer together. And I think that this political community is a vision for the future. It's a vision for a Europe that's united, that's peaceful, stable, and prosperous. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. And now I give the floor to the President of the Commission, Ursula.
Thank you very much. Dear friends and colleagues, first of all, I would like to thank our host, Prime Minister Sanchez, dear Pedro, for convening us here, this EPC summit. Behind the European political community is an idea. The idea that the European community can and must shape its own future. We're bound by a common geography and by common history, and this fact has shaped our shared values and rules. For decades, we Europeans have built a security architecture that is based on the UN Charter and international law. Now, this security architecture is under threat. A permanent member of the UN Security Council has launched an attack on its peaceful neighbor, and this attack goes on since 588 days. It is our obligation that Ukraine prevails and not the right of might. It is our obligation that the European security architecture is re-established so that on this continent all Europeans can live in peace and freedom. And this must guide us here in EPC. These principles are also shaping this agenda. Take energy. This is my second point. We have worked hard to ensure our energy security and to make energy affordable for our European households. And we can be proud how we mastered the severe energy crisis of last winter. For instance, we are now buying energy together, not only with 27 EU member states, but with our broader energy community, together with Ukraine, Moldova, Norway, and Serbia, and the UK is anyhow integrated in the energy exchange. This has brought energy prices down. Today, our storages are filled. We got rid of the dependency on Russian fossil fuels, as you said it rightly so, Volodymyr. And thanks to this, we have turned Putin's energy blackmail into an empty threat. So I encourage all of us to look at how we can best replicate this success in other fields, from clean energy to raw materials. And as we protect people, we have also to strive to protect our planet. For the first time ever, the European Union is now producing more electricity from renewables, like wind and sun, than from gas. And this is not only good for our planet, but it is also creating good jobs here in Europe while securing energy independence. And my third and final point, Europe has always been a continent of pioneers and innovators. And we should continue to explore the frontiers of innovation, also in artificial intelligence. The potential of artificial intelligence is immense in fields ranging from healthcare to farming and many others. But we also need to protect Europeans from the risks of unregulated AI. The European Union has put forward the world's first comprehensive and pro-innovation AI Act. It is a human-centric approach. It will take some time to implement it. So now we need a globally coordinated response and dialogue with companies so that they voluntarily commit to a values-based and ethical use of AI. Let us join forces here too in pushing for global governance of artificial intelligence. All the challenges we face, from collective security to AI, call for a common European answer. And this is the spirit of the European political community. Let us continue to make the most out of it. Let us continue to believe that we are more than a continent. We are a community of destiny. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gracias. Muchas gracias a todos y a todas. Y ahora vamos a seguir las reuniones en los clústeres que tenemos y daría por levantada la sesión inaugural de esta tercera cumbre de la Comunidad Política Europea. Gracias.